Okay, explaining marijuana. So, guys, if you're going to use marijuana as a Christian, one, that has to be your choice, but two, you have to do it in the right way. So if you're the type of Christian that says, hey, God made all of this, God, created us, created alcohol, God created marijuana, it's natural, that's fine if you think all of that. But you have to use it in a way that is honoring to the Lord. And I personally lean towards having some sort of medical condition when you're using marijuana. And that's really what it's used for. It's used for healing. Or, it's a plant that has many uses. And so, I wanted to talk about marijuana and if you use it as a Christian. So, I don't think marijuana is a sin in of itself. I think it's like money. Money is not a sin in and of itself, but the love of money is a sin. And I think the same thing goes with alcohol or marijuana. If you use it in the wrong way, it becomes a sin. It becomes something that, you shouldn't be doing. And so, before I really became a Christian, I was using alcohol and marijuana, but I was using them in an unprofessional way, in a way that is displeasing to the Lord. And that's what really drove me into sobriety, because I was just like, no, I can't deal with this anymore. But once I started to realize that, okay, maybe alcohol in of itself is not necessarily wrong, where I can't have a sip. It's how I use alcohol that is really wrong. And specifically drunkenness, or in the case of marijuana, getting way too high, too stoned. And so that's how I hold it as a Christian. I would say use it in a professional way. If you know a certain dosage, I think you have to get wisdom on marijuana. Now, I don't know if many people have read marijuana books or wine or alcohol books, but you might want to get educated to know what the proper dosage is for something that strong. I mean, in movies and television, if anyone has a cut on their arm, someone pours alcohol over it, and it's used as a cleansing agent. And then they also give some for the person to drink, because it's used as a kind of pain reliever. And so, if you're going to alcohol or drugs like marijuana, I'm not talking about other hard drugs. I think some of those instantly get you way too high, so I don't see how you could use some of those things, because it instantly gets you way too over the edge. But with marijuana, it's different, because you can control the dosage, and depending on how you take it in, you can control the dosage of the marijuana. Like, for example, smoking marijuana might get you higher than just some other way. I don't know all the ways that you can, take marijuana. But my point is, when using prescription drugs, when using alcohol or marijuana to deal with your suffering, to deal with your pain in life, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. And I'm going to go to Proverbs 31 to show you how the Bible sometimes uses it. And then there's other books like Ecclesiastes, where if you read that, he says to eat and drink. There's Bible verses that encourage the usage of things like that. But I want to focus on Proverbs 31. I'm probably not going to get to the Ecclesiastes, but Proverbs 31 says, give strong drink to those that are dying. And so that one phrase really says, it puts alcohol in the main category of, something to keep you going in hard times, something to, keep, you. Okay, sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties. But anyway, where was I? I was talking about how, if you're going to use marijuana, if you're going to use alcohol, use it in a way that is honoring to God. And don't let other people tell you what you should believe. You have to have faith enough to use alcohol when when a part of the church may be saying, no, it's not good to drink any type of alcohol. It really depends on, who you're listening to, because there's messages from the Christian church on both sides. Some say it's okay to drink alcohol. Some say, no, it's a sin to have just even a sip. And so, it really matters about your conviction. How when you stand before God, is he going to be pleased with you? Or is he going to be so upset that you go to the lake of fire? And so, no, we don't want to do that, So I would say, having that understanding that, if you're going to use alcohol or marijuana, learn about what one drink of wine is going to do to you, and one shot of liquor is going to do to you, and really have that mindfulness to know, hey, I need to control how much I'm drinking. Now, also pray to God and ask him, do you want me to use alcohol or do you not? Because that, you have certain passages in the Bible that show where God's ministers drank alcohol, but then you also have passages in the Bible where it shows that ministers were told by God not to even drink alcohol. And so, for marijuana, I would say God always wants us to be sober. So sobriety, it doesn't mean completely without any drugs or alcohol in your system, right? No, that's not what sobriety means. Sobriety means, are you still able to function, to talk to people, to work? Are you still able to function like normal if you hadn't had any alcohol or marijuana. And so that is what sobriety means. And so we all know that you being able to function, it doesn't happen when you've had maybe 10 shots of liquor, or when you've smoked like 4 or 5 joints, in a row, and combining those, it's way too much for your body and you cannot function. And also it leads to sin. And so having that realization that, you need to be able to really control what you're taking in. And I would say pray and ask God, God, will you help me to control my usage of this strong medicine or this plant or whatever you want to call it. Now, again, when I talk about, you have to have that mindset that you are doing the right thing. Because if you let others tell you like, oh no, I don't think you should drink any wine, that's Satan's drink. That's their conviction. But you cannot, if you share in their conviction, then yeah, I don't think you should drink. Or, if that's what you believe. Because the Bible says it's a sin to do something that you think you shouldn't do. And so, whenever, that's basically not having faith, and that's what having faith means. And so it means that you're doing something that you can do or should do. And I would just say, you have to have that realization that, smoking a joint, even one joint is probably going to get you over the line of, where you should be in life, as far as being able to function and not being drunkenness. And especially not having a spirit on you that drives you to sin. That's what drunkenness does, is that you lose all control of your ability to fight sin. And so drunkenness is, I believe, equivalent to being too high. Now the Bible may not put it in terms of, hey, you're too high, so it's a sin. But if we look at the word drunkenness and then also see how God says, and things like this in Galatians chapter 5, 19 down to a few verses down to the bottom, he says, and things like these sins. And so things like these sins, what's equivalent to being too high is drunkenness. And so if God doesn't want us to get drunk, then you have to be able to control it. And so I don't think it's a sin if you smoke marijuana or you drink alcohol or drink wine, because I believe those things are not necessarily a sin. God said that, all of the plants of the garden were good for Adam and Eve to eat. It was just the tree of the knowledge of good and evil they were not to eat of. And so, that being said, if you have a conviction that you shouldn't smoke marijuana, then don't just do it. Pray about it and ask God whether you should do it. Now, I believe you should have, again, like I was saying earlier, you should have a mindset that you want to use it for a purpose. You're not trying to just, I want to, zone out. I want to get high and zone out. No, because you're no good to anyone around you. And so, we have to use wisdom, guys. And, it's so important that, we do what's right in order to stand before God and be like, I live life in the best way, and that's what I would probably, advise anyone to do, is look into it. When I was drinking alcohol at first, I think this is a much needed topic, because when I was drinking alcohol at first, I didn't do any research on it. I didn't really have a mindset of how many is too many. No one teaches you that. You just kind of drink it and you keep drinking until you can't drink anymore. And so no one has the mindset of, hey, let's try to narrow down this, and I think going more of a professional medical route is the best way, because it basically is a medicine, or it basically is, some sort of pain reliever, both alcohol and marijuana. And they're so strong that I don't know if it is the best decision to, have it freely sold without any regulatory efforts out there, and especially with a lack of education to really tell people how they should take these prescribed medicines, or alcohol and marijuana. And so, but till we get there, you have to take that time to say, hey, I need to make sure I'm, learning about how to give the right dosage to myself. And so, I think both of the alcohol and marijuana are very kind of dangerous when it comes to overdosing. Like, they say you can't overdose on marijuana, but I think that is just a misunderstanding of what an overdose on marijuana looks like. Because marijuana can really make you, kind of trip out a little bit, especially if you have a, different type of strand that you're not used to. I think it's almost like having an allergic reaction. And so, and sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather, guys, today. My nose is a little stuffy. But anyway, we have to have it regulated. We have to have it more, but I don't think it should be over-regulated for as far as marijuana and alcohol, because people need to have the ability to, get the help that they need. But I think people are drinking themselves or smoking themselves into more trouble because the medicine that they're giving is too strong, and they're like, no, I just need to get rid of this pain, or I just need to get rid of this, problem, and so they're over-medicating. Now, I think, being your own doctor is a smart thing to do, but as we all know, doctors make big mistakes, and even from a professional level. When you talk about, all the different things that doctors do, sometimes they make mistakes. And so anyway, guys, I gotta go, but hopefully you enjoyed this little podcast on marijuana. So definitely keep me in your prayers, and I'll talk to you soon.